Good morning. I am Dr. Nsenga Burton, founder and editor in chief of the Burton Wire, and I would like to welcome you to today's live stream with world renowned artist Steve R. Allen.
Good morning,
Good morning.
everyone.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, but as we go into, or as we are full on into the holiday season, I thought it was important that we really focus on visual art and we think about the role that art created and produced by Black people plays in our lives and how Black art really is the gift that keeps on giving. Now, we're going to talk about Steve, talk to Steve, Mr. Allen, who's a self-taught self-taught artist, and who has done some incredible things in his career, which we'll talk about. But before we get started, and he has a wonderful multi-million dollar HBCU gift initiative, which we'll talk about, Black Art Gift Initiative, which we'll talk about as well. But before we talk about that, I want to talk to you and learn more about you as an artist, so we can inspire some of our viewers who may be interested in art themselves, or may have children or grandchildren or what have you, who want to have careers in art. But before we do that, let's talk about you. First of all, welcome, Mr. Allen. I'm so excited to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited as well, very much so, really.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so Mr. Allen, tell us a little bit about your background, in terms of, you're from North Carolina, where you grew up, and when did you know that that you had a gift or a skill?
Okay, like I said, well, I am from Raleigh, North Carolina. I grew up in Raleigh. I was actually born in this little one-room hut in Norrington Crossroads, North Carolina. Mama, daddy, Skeet, my oldest brother, and Ronnie, and I was born there. Um, we eventually moved to Raleigh when I guess I was about 3 or 4, and grew up in different parts of Raleigh, Walnut Terrace, public housing. We went to public schools in Raleigh, Washington High School, Carnage Junior High School, the first one they built for Black folks. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then I went to Enlow, went no Ligon, the Black school for a while. Then we were integration. We were sent to Enlow, and that's where I went for a couple of years. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went and took that GED. I'm part of the GED section. Okay. We got out of school a couple of well, actually a year or so before I was supposed to graduate regularly. So that's just the
Mm-hmm.
way my life has been going. Step out,
Mm-hmm.
see what's what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, how did you know that you were artistically inclined? Like, when did you first know you yourself? Was it as a child? Was it when you were in school? Like, when did you know that you had the gift and the skill? Because you can have the gift and never becomes a skill. But when did you know
Yeah.
you had it?
Well, it was I could always draw, always. Um, in fact, I'm looking well over to the right. Here's a painting. It's not a painting. It's a sketch that I did, felt tip pen on upholstery material that mom and dad at the time they would upholster. They did a lot of things, upholster furniture, and I did a, uh, a a drawing of me and my siblings. Uh, in fact, I only recently named it siblings after it was appraised for a significant amount of money. And so it was just something that I could always do. It was just something like walking. And
Mm-hmm.
only after I really just when I got started at 38 years old is when I really just sort of, well, I guess, Steve, you could do this. I went to the National Black Arts Festival. I didn't go, someone took me. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, well, hell, I can do that. And, and a couple of months later, the boss wasn't talking right. I gave his job back. And literally that day, I started painting just like that. Mhm.
Okay. So where did you go to college? Where did you go to school?
The University of the District of Columbia
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
Washington, D.C. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so you went to UDC. Like, now, when
Mm.
you were a college student, did you take art classes at all? Like, what was it that turned you away from art? Or if it was school, or if it was society, if it was because you grew up poor and you needed money, like what was it that made you not? continue to draw and to express yourself through art, even though you knew you had that gift at 5 years old?
The the thing was this: I never knew artist, any living artist. I never knew anyone around me. I didn't grow up around it. It didn't mean anything to me. Everything that I saw, it never looked like black folks. I'm reminded of a story with Mr. Barnes, Ernie Barnes, who actually grew up in Durham, North Carolina, very close to where Durham and Raleigh almost touch now. But at the time, it was like 24 miles from Raleigh to Durham. And he told the story about the time he went to the North Carolina Museum of Art, which literally was up the street from me. And he asked the docent where work is by black folks or colored or Negro, or whatever we were at that time. In fact, he said it was a high school, so a long time ago. And she said that your people aren't capable of doing this type of work. And so this is the artistic environment that I grew up in. And again, at that time, it was you were mainly taught to go to school to learn how to do something. That's how I ended up going to school to be an engineer. And I didn't care that much about being an engineer, really. I mean, I did all right, but it wasn't a driving force in my life. And so, like just say, one day at 38 years old, when my friend took me to the National Black Arts Festival, I didn't even know it was here. In fact, it was right down the street off I lived on Camilton Road here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And she took me, and I went through it. Like I say, well, hell, I can do that. And a couple of months later, boss wasn't talking right at the weekly meeting, and I literally gave him his job back. Went to the unemployment office, and that afternoon I started painting, just like that.
Okay.
A Tuesday morning, actually.
A Tuesday morning, yes, and here we are on a Tuesday morning.
On a Tuesday morning,
right? Yeah. So when you say the boss, and like between the time when you left UDC and when you embarked on your career, what were you doing up until you were 38 years old?
I was a copier technician professionally for many years. I was sidetracked, shall we say? Well, you have children. The children have to eat, and so I had to learn how to do something else. And so I was a Xerox man. Okay, Sharp, Xerox, all that type of stuff for years. I worked for the federal government, pushing paper. That's all I was doing, pushing paper in Washington at the Internal Revenue Service, the chief counsel's office, the big building on Constitution Avenue, 1111 Constitution. Yes, I remember the address. And there I worked for custom service. When I was in Los Angeles, I worked for the Veterans Administration. So just sort of going from here to there, feeding the young'uns, and sort of seeing what life was like. But I sort of knew it was something else for me. I was never satisfied at the jobs that I had. I was doing all right. But it was something was tickling the back of my little noggin there. Steve,
right?
I think, yeah. And so again, that day when the opportunity came, again, I didn't even know the festival was there. Friend took me, visiting from California, and took me down there. Right? She knew about it, I didn't, and that's how I got started. And I just started. I didn't have any idea what I was going to be doing. I just that step out on faith. And my idea was this: well, if anything, you know how to fix these machines, so you can always go back and get a job.
Right.
And yeah. And I told my son when I saw him that afternoon, I said, "Well, son, I quit my job." He was 14, and I said, "But don't worry about it." I said, "If push comes to shove, something's gonna come up missing. We gonna eat one way or another." That was my attitude.
Find a way or make one.
Oh, make a
one. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes. So, what
Yeah.
was your first painting when you quit that job and you said, I started painting? What was your first painting?
It's called Come Monday. Mama gave it that name. It's a scene of three black women out in the yard washing clothes in those big iron pots, and it's called Come Monday because that was a routine where I came up. The grandmamas and aunts and whatnot down there in the country, they would wash clothes on Monday mornings with them
Mm-hmm.
big pots, and then they would cook in them, all that kind of stuff. But they would wash in those big pots, and that's what it is. That
Okay.
was my first piece. Oh, and
Okay.
by the way, the first brushes I had to do that painting, someone found them. I used to live in Los Angeles, and someone found those brushes in the gutter and brought them to me. Say, Steve, I found these, and I thought about you, and that's how I got my first set of brushes. That I
Oh,
started my art career.
I love
Yeah,
it. I love it. So so you're born in a one room shack,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You go and do what you're supposed to do, right? Which is get you a good paying job to take care of your family.
yes.
Um, you had already always known that you had artistic talent,
Mm-hmm.
and one day you decide to do it, and all of the pieces fall into place. Do you think that that there was divine intervention? Do you think your steps were ordered? Like, what do you think happened?
Well, I can say that I know that's the case. Uh, um, wow, that part. I grew up in a religious home. My mother was a minister. In fact, well, she went back to school after we all were grown uh, to get her bachelor's, master's, and Ph.D. Uh, and it was always about my knowing my history, our history in this country, making a way out of no way, doing. You never know what's around the corner for you, and so that's why I wasn't, as they used to say, afeared when it was time for me to step out there, and that's what I did. And again, the education that I had, I did go to college. It was a backstop for me, shall we say, where I knew I could do something. Oh, I meant to cut that off. I'm, I probably let me put that on the floor. And I meant to cut it. Um, uh, I knew I had that backup, shall we say, and very instrumental in my story is that my mother and my brother literally supported me in this dream of art. My mama, and I'm not ashamed to say it, Mama bought this house that I live in. She said, "I'm gonna come to Georgia to support what you are doing here." Now I'm 38 years old now, and just Mama, I'm painting. I mean, who would do that? And my brother Arthur, we call him Skeet. He passed last year. He literally was my Theo, if you know the reference to Vincent Van Gogh's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Vincent never sold a painting in his life, maybe one in his life. But his brother, who was an art dealer, supported him, uh, paid for where he lived, all that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was my Skeet. Arthur Lee Allen was my Theo. And that is truly what made it possible for me to do. And that's part of what I'm doing, what I'm doing now, to pass on a lot of the things that I've learned. I didn't have anyone to ask. I had to find out. I had to learn. I'm a quick study.
Mm-hmm.
And where you need to go, what works, what doesn't work. Uh, One of the greatest things was that you had to reach out to people and let people know what you're doing. Some of it you can't tell everything, right?
Right. Yes,
Can't
yes.
tell everything, but that is, I was sort of flying by the seat of my pants, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
But with that support of Mama and my brother, uh, is what made it possible for me to be sitting here talking to Dr. Burton at this time.
Oh my goodness, I love that. So yeah,
Mm.
I love that you talk so much about your family. There is a balance. An echo, so forgive me for that.
Mhm.
I love that you talk so much about your family, especially your mom. I follow you closely on social media, and I love that you give so much credit to your family. How can Black families support? I mean, you talked about your brother, right?
Mhm.
How can Black families be more supportive of art? Because as a professor, I teach film and media, and I
Mhm.
do a lot of educating of parents that your kid is not going to starve
Right. Right.
necessarily. Um,
Right.
that they can have real careers in film and media and journalism and all that. They can make a good
Mhm.
living. They can provide. They can give back to the community. There are lots of things they can do because
Yes.
so like lawyer, doctor, engineer. Period.
Right.
Right. So how do
Right.
how as Black families can we be better supporters of the artists in our families, the people who have that creativity?
The that's a great point to touch on.
Mhm,
Most of our people
mhm,
have little to no experience with art or artists. All most of what we know is that's a pretty picture on the wall.
mhm, mhm.
Okay, or it goes with my furniture. I had I've had many conversations like that. I like the piece, but it doesn't match my furniture. So I say, so you wouldn't take the Mona Lisa, and I only say Mona Lisa because everyone knows that painting, because it doesn't go with your furniture. There you have to. It's a constant education that the about the value of art, what it says as a people.
Mhm.
Uh, 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 Reverend Vivian, my friend, passed a couple of years ago. Reverend C.T. Vivian. He made a comment that great people are known by their art, and I hadn't thought about it like that. As part of the what we've had to go through here, that we haven't created anything,
Mhm.
and as we was touched upon earlier uh, about this, well, just the greatness of what that means. Everything that you do has been touched by an artist.
Yes.
The everything, what we talking on these heads, has been touched, visualized, and brought from the wherever that space is to begin to realize what we are doing here. Uh, it's really to be supportive. Just my brother. Wow. The prime example is my brother Skeet Arthur.
Mhm.
He was something. Why doesn't Steve go and get a regular job? Right? He would say that from time to time. But in the meantime, he was supporting me. Right? I guess he knew on some level, well, that's my brother, and he can do this pretty good, and so we'll do it. But by him not being so much in it, and Skeet is the one who got me when I was like about 5 or 6. On in comic books and stuff, they used to have these little tests to go to art school on in the
I
mail.
remember those. I remember those. Yes.
Okay, and he was the one who introduced me to that. And so I tell you, for years he was supporting me. And one day uh, when I found out about the Smithsonian, right,
Mhm.
and Skeet had supported me and supported, and Mama said it was just I was gonna keep it between Mama and me, right. And then we were talking one night. She said, "I think Skeet needs to know about this." And when he found out the Smithsonian in Washington, yeah, that's what you've been you've been helping your brother, but the family as well,
Mhm.
to achieve this. This is not a solo endeavor, a solo achievement. Not no.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we need to learn to just have some faith. You can look and see how good it is,
Mhm. Mhm.
and a few dollars here or there to keep the haints off of you. That old term to keep the haints off of you can keep you can move forward. And who knows what you can achieve? Who
Mhm.
know? And like you said, I'm not starving. I'm eating.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not emaciated.
Yes. So when you say the Smithsonian, tell the viewers exactly what you're talking about. Like, what was your big break with the Smithsonian?
uh, a friend of mine, he he had met Dr. Janetta Cole in DC when, she was the director of the African Art Museum for the Smithsonian. He was writing a book and wanted her to put a little foreword or something. And so I contacted her, and I just attached on the email, oh, by the way, Dr. Cole, these are my latest pieces. And she contacted me in a few weeks, apologized. I said, you Dr. Cole, right? So I'm happy to hear back from you. And she had me to send an email to Dr. Lonnie Bunch, the founding director, just like that. I looked him up. I didn't know who he was. I looked him up and found out that he had been the director of the African American Art Museum in the California African American Art Museum.
Yes.
In Los Angeles.
That's right.
And the highlight of that biography was that he had done an exhibition of African American Olympians. Yes. Okay. And so I just attached. Oh, by the way, Dr. Butch, I'm an official artist for the U.S. Olympic Committee.
8-time official artist. 8
times. Eight times, yeah. 8 times. And that's how it got. Okay, I sent it. Text the images. And my latest image, I said, this is my latest piece. That was the one that's called Freedom Journey, which is one with President Obama and Dr. King on it. Like I said, I just done it, inspired like many artists were at the election of President Obama. And then a few weeks later, I got a call on Saturday night. This is so-and-so from the Smithsonian Museum. That's all I hear is Smithsonian. Okay. And then there was. It just out of the blue. But I have been working a long time now. But that's not anything that you can sort of work towards.
Yes.
As far as I'm going to be in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I just step out on faith, the support from the family, so that I could really concentrate on just letting come what comes and putting it on canvas. This kind of stuff just comes now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a brilliant piece behind you. I told you I did a bad thing, but I told you, I tell you everything with Alan. That I was like, that piece is beautiful. I downloaded it from one of your social media sites. Not going to reproduce it at all, but it was so beautiful. I was like, I have to have this. Like, it has to come up on my phone occasionally just to remind me to inspire.
Okay.
But our viewers who aren't familiar with the Smithsonian, before there was the Smithsonian, the Museum of African American Culture and History, there is the Smithsonian, which houses different museums, right? So there are lots of different museums. Museum of African Art, Museum of European Art. I mean, any type of art that you can imagine in the world is housed in the museum, in the Smithsonian.
Right, that's 19 museums actually.
Yes.
Air and Space Museum, the National Portrait Galleries.
Yes.
All this time covers every aspect of American life.
Yes, exactly. So, we absolutely are ecstatic to have the Museum of African American History and Culture because it was necessary and needed, and to have your work presented there is really, spectacular. It's amazing to be part of that collection, in addition to being a part of. Because people don't understand, the Smithsonian is
right. It's our nation. It's our nation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, Vernon Clark said this is a great conversation. Ruth Roman wants to know what inspires you every day to make art? What are your inspiration? What is nurturing your creativity as an artist today?
It's sort of this intangible thing. When I get up in the morning, I do this almost every day. And I get up and do, you take your medicine, blah, blah, blah. I am getting older. You take your medicine. And then I come downstairs and I just start. It's, I know it's a gift. And I know that not everyone can do it. In fact, it's a very small number of people who can do it. And I do have to acknowledge part of the upbringing is not to make too much of what you're doing, that self-deprecation thing. But every now and then I do have to do like that, right?
So I think also humility,
Yes,
right? Especially
yes,
Black people, you have to
especially
show
yes,
humility. Don't rub your success in other people's face.
yes.
You're not better than me, right?
Right, right, right. And I also recognize the part of it that was part of a survival mechanism for us during our time enslaved in this. No, no, boss, he ain't that smart. He just no, she ain't that pretty. She, just
Yes,
to
yes,
keep folks up off of you.
yes.
I'm mindful of our journey here all the time. I'm always mindful of that,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what keeps me going as well. And so I'm born in America, African born in America, and so that's why my work I do the same thing in Brazil, and I do it in DRC, DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and in my travels, I seek out folks in the diaspora. Everyone is welcome, but I seek out our people in the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, this piece behind me is called Laura de Monzoto. Monzoto, it means star in Lingala, which is one of the Bantu languages in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it was inspired by a friend of mine, uh, who is Laura Astrolabio de Santos in Rio, to do this piece. And so I'm open now to just let things come. Whenever I'm working, if it starts feeling like a job, I stop
Mm-hmm.
because then I'm getting in the way. The
Yeah.
secret to what I do is just let it come through. And I don't know where I'm starting. I don't know what I'm trying to finish, but I know when it's finished. And there we go. Put your name on it. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So, who are your favorite artists? Like, who do you, who are your influences, and who are your favorite artists?
You know, this is a thing with me. I I know of artists. I do, and I admire their work. But I don't go to a lot of galleries. I don't go to a lot of museums and whatnot. I do that on purpose.
Mhm.
I don't want to be overly influenced by anybody else's work.
Got you.
So when you see what I do like this, it's what came out of Steve's head, what comes out.
Hmm.
And I recognize that each one of our artists' gift is unique. Uh, and I know you've seen many paintings that you aren't quite sure who the artist is
Hmm.
because they're so similar. I
Hmm.
remember I had a one time I thought it was at the National Black Arts Festival in '96. I saw a painting and I thought it was by John Biggers, the
Hmm.
great John Biggers,
Yes.
because it looked so much like his work. And then I found out who it was, and well, why would you want your work confused? I mean, I know what to say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, that type thing. But to me, as an artist, your voice should be unique, whether it's by the colors that you use, the forms that you use. Like with this stuff of mine, I love this geometry that's that's in it, and I'm working on a line of designs. We'll be putting out fabrics and
Hmm.
whatnot. And what I can do, what I do is take just like a corner of one of my other paintings, like with all these designs you see in there, and I turn them around and I multiply them and I do this, that, the other, and I end up with a whole new expression from each one of these works here. That's my aim. That's
Hmm.
what I want to do. The uniqueness of Steve Allen and the work that he does is what's important to me. And also, as part of that, it and when I started a foundation called the Steve R. Allen Foundation, and what I do is work with young people and some not so young, different parts of the world. Here in Atlanta, uh, uh, Brazil, DRC, I've done it, And it's the big thing for me at that time is not to teach you how to draw. It's to teach you to help you become in tuned with your unique gift, your unique expression. Because everything, whenever you create a thing, that's the first time it's really been seen in the history of the universe, that piece that comes out of you. I want me and others to feel comfortable enough to recognize and plug into the uniqueness that is you. That's where all this really the beauty comes through. And then when people see you or in your work, or whether it's a vocal artist or whether an engineer or a doctor or something, that you become known because of the uniqueness of the way that you approach this problem, this situation. That's what I hope to share, try to share with folks.
Yeah, I mean, one of the ways that I came, that I decided I wanted to interview you was after following you on social media. And, I'm familiar with the work of Fahama Piku, Amy Sherald, folks like that, Antoine Williams, that kind of work, Virgil Abloh, who just recently passed, and the work that they do to help the community with their art.
Yes.
You started talking about you had something big coming, and I know Diane was talking about it too. Publicist. I said I have got to talk to him and interview him and find out what this is. And when you announced your HBCU initiative, you talked about Ernie Barnes earlier, and I thought about he's a North Carolina Central alum, and these folks, these brilliant Black artists who come out of HBCUs, who come out of North Carolina. I think about John Coltrane, Nina Simone, folks like that.
Monk, Thelonious Monk, born there.
Yes, I mean we can just keep going, right?
Keep going.
Right.
Romare Bearden.
Yes, Romare Bearden. Yes, it's like amazing. And to want to share that gift, right? Because Virgil Abloh, he was doing an initiative to educate more Black people in art, to create more Black artists, so that rid of that barrier between Black people once we've made it, don't do art.
right.
We need to keep making it. Right. But really to create for people and students to really consider art as a career, as a life. Right.
Yes.
So when I saw what you were doing with the HBCU initiative, I was like, we got to talk about this and let people know what they're doing. Tell me, what is the HBCU initiative in your words, and why did you do it?
Okay. It's funny. I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2014, and I met at the one at that time HBCU in Brazil, Zumbi de Faculdade.
Yeah.
And I ran into a professor from Claflin that had brought a group of students down. And so, hey, you're down in Sao Paulo and like that at the university. It's how Black folks we the only ones in the room. We'll lock in.
Yes.
Or wherever you.
Yes. We find each other.
We find each other.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when we got back a couple of years later, he went to became the dean of the school of ministry at Shaw University, and that's where Mama got her master's in divinity at Shaw. And again, I grew up literally when I'm 5 or 6 years old. I'm telling you about literally across the tracks from Shaw University. You can look out the back door and see Shaw. And so we talked, and so I was going to. When he found out about Mama going there and whatnot, so I was going to give a gift, a piece, a portrait of Mama. And so I had to. My brother passed last year, and so but due to COVID, we had to wait till March for the service, even though he passed in December. And so on my way back, the idea hit me. Okay, well, I know we're going to work on this thing with Mama. And so, well, maybe I should. Well, we'll give her a quarter. Now, these are big numbers, right? $250,000. It is a big number.
Yes, it is.
It's a big number. But then I started looking, okay, well, I know what this stuff is appraised for. I know what it's worth. Okay, this is what the officials say it's worth. Okay. So, but then that's only like a couple of pieces over. So by the time I left Raleigh and got to Atlanta, then a few hours later, it was up to multi-million dollars. Okay. That's what we
Yeah.
talk about blessings, to be a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's literally how it started as I'm driving back down 85, coming back to Atlanta. And so when we got back, next day or so, I started. I had never given anything. How do you do that?
Yes,
But again, a way out of no way, we'll figure it out.
that's right.
Okay. And that's literally how it started. And many people think that I've been working on this for years, but I didn't. The idea came March 20th as I'm driving back down here. And so
Oh,
we picked up Shaw. We knew we had to have Shaw, the AU Center. The Woodruff Library, which covers the AU Center.
that's right. The AU Center is Spelman, Clark, Morehouse College, Morehouse School of
Of medicine
Medicine, and the International Theological
center,
Center.
right?
So,
Yeah. And so I
mhm.
got was sort of like a 5-in-1 thing, right?
Yes,
Five
yes,
birds
five
with
and
one
one.
stone. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes,
then Florida A&M and Stillman College over in Tuscaloosa. So I pretty much have that's the
yes.
first phase, and we completed that in September, I think, when I delivered the artwork over there. Now this is another thing too. We people people think that you get a big head after. I'm just Steve, okay? That God blessed me to draw and I can paint whatever. I'm just Steve, little boy from North Carolina. So we were gonna ship it over, and they wanted like $8,000-9,000 to
Mm,
ship their work.
mm.
I rented a van and drove it over there. That's Steve in a nutshell. I give these folks what? Put it in the truck. We drive. And so that's the first phase is complete. And so next year, as part of that, I'll be doing we'll be doing in partnership with the universities things like we are doing now. Uh, I guess if there's some depends upon the pandemic, some in-person things, and also I'm pleased to announce that we'll be working with the universities, their foundations, and the Steve R. Allen Foundation to do what I'm doing in Brazil and DRC, but I'm going back to Brazil. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll I'll be back in Brazil next month or the first of February to
Okay.
begin. Yeah, we were working on the exhibition of my work when I almost got caught down there in the pandemic. I was on one of the last flights that they were allowing us
Mm-hmm.
Americans back in the country when everything went to hell in the handbasket. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that's I'm looking forward to resuming that work. And as part of it, we're looking to have students from here uh, come with me or meet up with me when I get down there, and vice versa. That's the next phase and all part of what we're doing. I'm really excited about what's going on.
You should be. And students, I mean, the fact that they have the opportunity to actually connect with you and get your mentorship and guidance, and it's just something that's invaluable. Like the value, you can't put a dollar amount on that, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And so you said you've been in Brazil. Have you done any work in Bahia?
I've
Um,
been to Bahia a couple of times. I will be going back. We were organizing a tour,
mhm,
and Bahia would have been part of it. I've know some folks there,
mhm, mhm.
and we gonna follow up on that too. There's a big interest again in Portuguese, artista plástica that I
Yes.
am, right,
Yes.
and again part of that African American,
Mhm.
African Brazilian, that diasporic connection
Yes.
is what we're looking to work on. In fact, again, I'm excited about it, uh, and I'm really looking forward to the exchange of young people that a couple can go with me come
Mm-hmm.
back, we can establish that thing. So with Shaw University, FAMU, and Stillman, we're working on the details now, but we've agreed in principle to work together. They have had that idea of wanting to do what I had proposed, but a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot of time is, well, who do you talk to? Or we don't have connections here or there. You just can't show up at the airport and say, I'm looking at to do so and so and so. But by my coming back and forth and traveling as I do, again, I've been blessed to make some connections with people, to understand better what the culture is and the outreach, Africans to Africans, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're in Brazil or Bahia, well, in Brazil or USA or the UK or wherever. And
Yes.
that's part of, again, for me, the next step to what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what I
Mm.
love about the Carolinas. It's because Black people in the Carolinas respect and know their African roots.
Yeah.
Um, and it's part of the cultural upbringing in so many parts of the Carolinas.
Yeah.
And so the idea of the diaspora that you have to educate a lot of folks about is
Yes.
really germane to the identity of Black Americans born in the Carolinas who understand their
I'm
African
sorry I
roots.
stepped on something.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, I'm back.
You back?
I'm back.
Okay. It happens. It's live. We keep going.
Yeah.
So, how did you pick the schools, like the HBCUs? How did you decide on which HBCUs to work with?
They just popped in my head. You know what? Well, one of the things was I can cover the South geographically.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
fam, you down there like that,
Hmm.
and so now we can spread out. And by Atlanta being and the Woodruff Library in Atlanta being we're having the 4 or 5 universities here.
Hmm.
In some ways, the center of African American education in the United States.
Right,
Uh,
right, right, right.
that to me was the ideal a place to start. Well, one of the ones that I wanted. Again, I knew Shaw was going to be there for Mama. Okay,
Yes.
so but then I had met Dr. Warwick, the president of Stillman, uh,
Hmm.
some time ago. I was introduced to her, and a friend of mine who works with me with the foundation, Dr. Fiesta Kegler.
Hmm.
She's a FAMU grad, so we that was
Oh
part of it.
yeah, I know how
So it
that
just sort
works.
of worked, yeah. And so now, let's say we can spread out. Now we can go a little further afield uh, as far as uh, uh, as far as the universities that we reach out to. And
Hmm.
and one of the things too, it also the locations that I picked. I told you I go a lot by instinct. Okay, I didn't sit down and think. Well, if I put it here, this is within 400 traveling miles of.
Yes, yes.
Nothing like that. The idea comes, you act on the idea. And so now we'll go a little further afield. This again, because now you can say you in New Orleans, if you wanted to go up to Stillman to see the work, that's only a couple of hours. Uh, you in Florida, well, if you're coming from Mobile or wherever, whatever like that, that's only a couple of hours. In
Yes,
Raleigh, it's only a couple of hours from either way you go.
yes,
So that's how it turned out. I
yes,
didn't I didn't say I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do that.
yes.
that. It's a beautiful thing to be free enough
Hmm.
in your thinking to know that you can't think of everything, and
Hmm.
so some things you just have to step out on, or it it faith in that it will work out the way it should work, just like you
Hmm.
and I talking, you and me talking now.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's how it
Hmm.
works, right?
Yes.
So, what do you say to someone who may be in school? They may have dropped out of school.
Mm.
They may have had some tough times. But they have an artist heart, right? They have an artist
Hmm.
spirit, and
Yes.
they're not quite sure what to do or where to start. I know you always say just start, right? But what can you say to them to get them to actually take that first step?
Wow. It was it's not as easy as it sounds, but it's true.
Mhm.
Take the first step. Well, even if it's outreach to an artist, I talk to my grandson all the time. So if you want to learn how to make a million, you don't ask the people who living under the bridge.
Yes.
You
Yes.
have to go talk to somebody who made $1 million.
Yes.
That's with this art thing. That's why I'm one of the reasons I'm as open as I am. It's easy to find me. I answer emails, telephones. I don't have these filters between me.
Yes.
And a lot of it. One of the biggest things with me and to my working with the students is that you can see that you don't have to go through this. Well, I wonder what Mr. Allen was thinking when he created this piece here. Was he thinking about? Well, I'm standing right here. You could just ask me, and I can tell when people sometimes they ask me about what if I had these deep thoughts when I got started. What were you thinking about? I wasn't thinking about anything. I just started. Literally, I just start. If you can get past that one, oh, I must be going this way. I must go this way. I must go that way. No. Just start. The first stroke, the first something is what'll my grandson stand here and look at me in my face. So I just waved. That was that wave. So now you know.
Absolutely. So we have about 12 minutes, 14 minutes left.
Okay.
If any of our viewers have questions, you need to start asking them because we're going to wrap up shortly. But I still have more questions, of course, because I have questions for you. All right. So when sometimes when you post, you talk about your mother and her seeing your work and, your brother and him seeing your work and things of that nature. I know they helped support you in so many ways when you were coming along as an artist. But how does their influence or presence, in a different realm now, still impact your work?
I'm surrounded by them every day. Even if say a piece that I've done is it's not pertaining to them particularly, but I know the reason that this piece is here is because of their support. And I truly I'm very mindful of our ancestral heritage, and that I stand on the shoulders of others. All of the cliches that you hear, I really internalize that. I know that like I know my name. My name is Steve Randall Allen. That's the name that Mama and Daddy gave me. I don't have to think about it. Steve, I don't have to think about that. This is to say it's such a part of me. Some over the years, decades, centuries, we've been disconnected from. And in my the way I think, I mean, it was a concerted effort to do that, to remove you from any connection with what made you, what made you and your people the magnificent people that you are. So it's a constant discovery. I'm one of the greatest blessings of the pieces that I have in the Smithsonian is the portrait of my grandmama, Iola McLeod Allen. She was very African in appearance. They say I look like her. Daddy looked like me. On the Allen side, because we are very dark people. And Mama said something when I was grown. But at the time, I'm still firmly into that Western notion of romantic love that I float when I walk in. Mama said, she said, I wasn't particularly like that in love with Bud Allen. That's what they call Daddy Bud. Okay, James Allen. She said, but I saw what those Allens and McLeods and McCoys were doing. And I wanted some of that for my children. That's what Mama said to me. Now, me and at that time, in my immature mind, What? You went in love with daddy? I loved it. I loved it. But all that, again, that floating notion, that floating across fear. No, them Allens was doing something. And that's what I wanted. And so by my knowing, again, the history of my folks, not just here, again, with that, again, that African thing. And when I go to Africa, people will start speaking to me in Lingala or in Kiswahili or whatnot, and I have to, and they laugh at me when I say, "Well, I only speak English." You only speak one language? Yeah, I only speak one language. I'm sorry, but that my love for my people is deep in me, deep, way deep, and I want to share that to help on maybe on some level connect our young people more to their heritage, who they are, regardless of what somebody said to you or about you or what you may read somewhere. I do a little thing I did this the other day with my grandson. I wrote down, I said, I am a 7-foot tall white woman. And I read it. He said, now you read that, right? Yeah. But is it true? No. Well then, that's the lesson right there. You could, it's a lot of work to be done to cast off a lot of this nonsense and purge our systems of the poison. And I just do my little bit with my artwork or being able to share my experiences in the world with them. I guess that's it's important now to me. I want the world to know that Steve Allen was here.
Yes, well, they definitely know that. I mean, your art is amazing. Like it's incredible and awesome to see. Whether it's in an exhibit. I mean, it works. Some art, in my mind, anyway, just doesn't work on every platform, right? Like sometimes, like you have to see it in person. You're like, oh my God, it's amazing, or what have you. But your art, it doesn't matter if it's online. It doesn't matter if it's in person. It doesn't matter if it's in someone's home. It's always takes your breath away. So
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean it too. So let's talk about this giving back piece. And we're in the holiday season. We talked about Black art. We talked about the significance of Black art. And when you talk about how we grow up, kind of like in these art deserts. That's what I think goes in my head, right? Or this is poverty of art. Like we don't necessarily aren't surrounded by it unless you are kind of a certain class. If you had the opportunity to be educated in a very specific way. If you have had someone in your family who is an artist, or you have to have such specific types of influences that it is hard to find art in general. It's not just Black folks, right?
Yeah.
So what can we be doing, or buying? I mean, of course, Black owned, of course, Black owned. But what can we be doing or buying to make art more a part of the everyday lives of our people?
One of the biggest mistakes we make, we'll see a piece that we like and we'll buy a print for $30 or $40. Nothing wrong with that. But then we'll spend $600 or $700 to frame it. Yeah. So all you have is a $40 print with the $700 frame. Okay. To support, to buy with the money that you have, to buy the best original work that you can. Okay, it doesn't have to be what mine goes for. But there are, again, young artists that you like, that their work speaks to you. That's what's important. Over time, and you're not buying it for, this will appreciate in value. Art usually does. If it's of merit, and who says what that is. I could tell you some stories about that, but I'll leave that for another day.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
The 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 main thing, even if you don't quite understand what they are doing, you are supporting them financially, buying some of their original works, whether paintings, sculptures, this type of thing. Uh, it helps build up the self esteem and the cachet of the
Mhm.
artists themselves. Somebody bought my work. I remember my first one, $600. $600. Goodness
Mhm.
gracious, that was a lot of money. And
Mhm.
I wish I had it now. Uh, but that to educate yourself more uh, on what it is. You may not understand it.
Mhm.
Uh, that's but one of the things about art is how it makes you feel, how it connects with you. If you are buying portraits, well, it may not be the best portrait, okay,
Mhm.
but it's an original work of art that that
Mhm.
person set and did that. It's the imagination of people is just fantastic.
Mhm.
When when that necessity to well, I know I got to pay the light bill today. I got to pay, so I done been through that. Goodness gracious.
Mhm.
Woo.
We all have. We all
We've
have.
been through that. And to be able to create freely, even for a couple of hours a day, it also connects you with you. Okay. And then after you do, you create that piece that you can look at that and know that that came from you, from wherever this other realm is.
Mhm.
It came, and that's going to be here from here on out. That
Mhm.
is there. And I wish I had the words to tell you when I do stuff like this or anything. It is really a feeling of total freedom. That is literally your world that you create, and as you're doing it, like with me at times, I come down in the morning, and the next thing I know, uh, it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or even later. And when you look at it, you really can't tell how you got from here to there.
Mhm.
That feeling, I wish I could share it with everybody. Even it doesn't have to be with art, but what you do, the thing that you do to get in contact with you is
Mhm.
so important. It's important to
Mhm.
me.
Mhm. So you get that freedom, and we have about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Can you? So you get the freedom.
Hmm.
We need to spend more money on artists, right? On
Yes.
the work,
Living artist.
right? Living artists, and less, and focus less on the framing, even though framing is part for some people part of the art, right?
Right.
But tell me really quickly about your textiles, the fabrics,
Oh,
and things like that. Tell me about that, and where we can find your art and the art of other Black artists. Tell me
okay.
about that.
Well, I'm redoing my reconstructing the site. But the fabrics I'm creating. Actually, I create them out of the paintings. If you if you study the textiles, I like
Mhm.
I tell you, I'll take a little piece and make a whole nother pattern, and then I will impose that pattern on a painting or a small part of another painting of mine. I used to complain that I don't paint that fast, but I'm really painting 1,000 paintings in one painting. And so with the colors, you can change the colors. And what I'm doing, they will be created as fabrics. In fact, after this is over, I'm going to pick up the first sample.
Yes.
Okay, and with that, wow, that part again too is endless. It won't just be fabrics, but then we turn it over to other artists who design and create these wonderful drapes and clothing, apparel, all this type of stuff. That collaboration between well, there was a collaboration between artists. You say I get passionate about this when I start going.
No, keep going. Keep going. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I want to hear
I'm
it.
looking to that, and again, to be able now to go transfer it from or create new things, new derivative works, these patterns, these fabrics off of these original paintings. It just shows you how endless your imagination can be, how far you can take this thing, whether again paintings or whatever it is you do. Whenever you feel that freedom, which is how I feel now, it's just mind blowing. And I want to share that with folks. I want to share that with the young people to get them to know that they can do this type of thing, and that you don't have to. If you're 38 years old, as I was when I started, I'm 67 now. That you can start at any time to pursue and to get in touch with you and do what you do. We gonna eat. It's all right. I don't have to eat steak every day, but I don't want to eat steak every day. Okay.
Yes.
and oh wow, it's man, it's I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
That's okay. I hear you loud and clear. Freedom. The greatest
Freedom.
form of freedom for you is the expression of your art.
Yes.
And that's where you get to see you in a world that makes us invisible.
Yes.
Right. Right.
That's
Yes,
another
I
show,
feel
right?
you. Yes.
Invisibility.
Yes. Yes. I'm feeling you. I'm clacking with you. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, this has been amazing. I knew it was going to be amazing. That's why I was like, I got to talk to this man. Like, he's amazing. His work is incredible. The way that you talk about your art, the way that you talk about your family, the way that you love Black people from the diaspora, the way that you acknowledge your connection to the diaspora, the way that you are bringing all of diaspora into your art, and through your service to our community. I had to talk to you. I had to talk to you.
Thank you.
So
You
I
honor me.
wanted. Oh goodness! I'm just honored to be. I'm happy. So
Mm-mm.
thank you so much, because this is, when you talk about freedom and Black people, this is one of the ways we can absolutely get it in a world, in a country especially that we live in, that is so anti-Black and so anti-freedom,
Ooh.
especially as it comes to us and our journey.
Yes.
But like you weren't stopped, and we're not gonna be stopped either.
No.
I joked with you before. I said, if Mama Made It was a song,
Yeah.
you'd be the person.
Yeah.
You be the person. You be that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with a lot of great Black artists, great Black creators, and people who have just done amazing work in spite of being born into segregation, right?
Yeah.
And being born with the chip stacked against you. So that's why I wanted to talk to you. And then the art is just extra. It's
Uh,
extra. It's the person and the art that comes from the person.
mm,
So thank you so much. This is a great way. This is our last show of the season. So excited of the year that you closed out 2021 with us. I wish you much happiness and continued success in 2022. I wish all of our viewers happiness and continued success in 2022. I wish that we all will make a pledge to buy one piece of Black art, at least one, in 2022, a local Black artist, somebody who's living, as Mr. Allen
yes.
says, and to bring
And
that
you can
art.
use a payment plan too.
Yes, and they do have payment plans.
Definitely.
They have payment plans. There are payment plans available. So I'm gonna be on
Mm.
yours, Mr. Allen, shortly. Yes. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the Burton Wire for the 2021. We're going actually into our 10th year. We'll be celebrating our 10th year anniversary in 2022. So we'll have big things happening. And of course, Mr. Allen, you'll be in the building.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
just thankful to be here. Thankful for another year, and thankful to have had the opportunity to witness your artistic expression yet again.
Thank you
So
so much.
thank you for tuning in, everyone. Have a wonderful end of the year. Hang in there. Socially distance. Take the pandemic seriously. We all we got. That is Black people. We all we got.
We all
So
get.
we got to make sure we're here. Wash your hands. Keep doing what Black people been doing. Wash your
Well,
hands.
yeah, right.
Get out
Yeah,
my personal space.
right.
Respect my space.
Yeah. You
Listen to
too
your
close.
doctor. Get vaccinated. Do what you got to do so you can be here in 2022 as long as you can, if it's in your hands. All
It
right.
is.
All right. So happy holidays, and I wish everyone a happy new year. And we will see you in 2022. And thank you to my producer Norman, who's been amazing this year as well.
Thank you. Y'all take care now.
You too.
Mm-hmm.